Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob ENT podcast, the best sports pop culture podcast in New Jersey. As you can see, if you are watching on YouTube, I have a special guest with me tonight. Another interview, another guest episode, none other than Kiandra Richardson, singer, actor, writer, director, producer, on the show with us tonight. How are you doing?
I am well. Happy to be here.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you were on the East Coast. So are you back in Georgia?
I am in Georgia right now, yeah.
So what's the weather like over there?
Ciao. It's cold right now. It's probably not as cold as it is up north, but it's definitely cold to me. Okay. It's cold.
Yeah,
I'm a
I'm
little
in
bit.
Jersey, so it's been
Are y'all getting snow?
super. We got a little bit of snow, but it's been like literally like God just decided to blow, and it's just been
Okay.
super windy, like
Yeah, I
three
heard
o'clock in
there's
the
like
morning,
some
crazy.
storm coming, some like snowstorm or something.
Yeah, they hopefully they can hold that off. I don't want to do with that at all.
Yeah,
Um,
me neither.
so singer, actor. I just want to start with this. Like, which do you actually have more enjoyment doing?
Um, I enjoy singing because I've been doing it the most. I started that at 5. Um, I enjoy singing the most, I'll say, but acting is the most challenging for me. So it's like a weird, exciting type of a fun. It's like
Mhm.
it pushes you. So nah, I don't know. They're kind of even.
Now
They're
you
kind of
you
even.
mentioned at 5 you started singing. Is that the age that you realized that you actually wanted to sing? And at
Yeah.
what age did you realize what you want to get into the acting space though?
Yeah, I knew at 5 I wanted to sing. I saw Whitney Houston. My mom was watching Whitney Houston all the time, and I saw her, and she kind of reminded me in a sense. It was like this thin lady that's like singing and bouncing around, and I was like, oh, that's me. That's what I want to do. And that was at 5. But when I went to college, um, at like 18, 17, 18. I started to be trained in acting for the camera and stuff like that. And I noticed that it kind of came easy to me. I was just really good at being natural, I guess. And I enjoyed it. And so from then on, that's when I started to kind of have in the back of my mind that I would like to act as well.
That's really dope, especially at such a young age. That
Yeah.
speaks to the importance of representation actually matters to be able to
Yes.
see
Yes.
somebody that looks similar to you,
Yeah.
similar frame, like, oh, that's what I want to do.
That's me, right?
And
That's literally
out
how
of
it
all
was for
people
me.
too, it's really dope of Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Um, I know my in-laws, they love some Whitney. Whitney is huge in Jersey. I mean,
Yes, of
everywhere, of
course.
course.
Oh yeah, Jersey. Wow, I'm not even thinking that you are in Jersey.
Yeah, everywhere, of course, Whitney
Okay.
is huge, but Jersey especially has a little extra special love, I like to
Extra
say,
special.
for
Yeah.
Whitney Houston. With
Yeah.
that being the case, at
Mm.
5, you see Whitney Houston, and then you end up having the opportunity to be a part of BB Winans play and
Yes.
play Whitney Houston. How
Yes.
was that experience for you knowing that, from 5 years old, Whitney was the person that I looked up to?
Now, from that perspective, it was amazing because I was like, wow, full circle, like I studied this lady and I watched her growing up and now I get to play her. But on the opposite side of that was what? Playing Whitney Houston? Like that, it was nerve wracking because um, she's so iconic. She's so iconic and everyone loves Whitney. So if you mess up even the slightest bit, somebody's gonna have something to
Uh,
say. And so um I was really, really nervous if I'm being honest. I was nervous, somewhat afraid. Um, but luckily my castmates, they were very supportive in helping me kind of lean into what was important in playing
mm,
her. And it was just put her essence on stage. You know, it's don't try to be Whitney Houston. We're never gonna be Whitney Houston, but the essence that she carried and the spirit that she carried, those things are the things that you can portray because all of that comes from God, really. So I can tap into that same source to bring that same essence to the stage. You know what I mean? Versus trying to caricature somebody. You know what I'm saying?
That's really good that you said that because it's such a fine line because God has created everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically,
Mm-hmm.
you are Kiandra.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Antonio Burnett.
Right.
You are distinct to you. Everybody is
Right.
different. But what you said right there, I think that was a good way that you explained it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I haven't
Mm-hmm.
really heard anybody explain that. Like I was able to get her essence and
Yes.
portray that because I went to the source, which was God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just had to go to God to get the source, and then boom, it was able to do
Right.
that. And I think that's important. Acting, but I think we see it often a lot of times in singing, where we
Yeah.
see the award shows and they're doing, hey, we want to honor this singer, and they
Mm-hmm.
try to be that singer.
Right.
And to your point, uh, especially in this day and age, social media, we
I
are on
know
it
people
immediately.
are ruthless on social media. Yeah. Never
Yeah,
try to be somebody else ever. You know,
exactly. Be you
be you.
and just try to embody the essence of said person.
Right.
So, with that being the case, you mentioned the nerves, acting and the singing aspect.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with your nerves and how do you put that aside and go perform and be the best version of yourself?
Yeah. That's a really good question because I still to this day, um, I won't say I struggle with it, but it's something that I have to manage, right? Because I'm singing and acting all the time. But I've learned, like when I'm about to sing, there are different exercises you can do. Like if you know how you have a stress ball.
Mhm.
If you don't have a stress ball, you just can kind of like squeeze your hands together like this, and you kind of let all the energy come into this tight fist that you have going on, and then you release it. That's like a small way that I do it. But other than that, breathing really helps. You have to center yourself because if not, you'll be a nervous wreck going out on stage. And even in acting, you really have to breathe and center yourself. With acting, it's not as tough sometimes because you have scene partners and you have,
Mhm.
there's just so many people around that kind of aid in your performance. Um, but you still have to center yourself and know why you're doing what you're doing. And I've noticed, honestly, more recently, I've been offering all of my performances up to God like an offering. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm giving this to you. And so it kind of takes the pressure off of me and it's more so just like a worship in a sense, it's like a thank you. So when I put my mind there, it kind of takes the pressure off.
That's a really good tip right there because,
Yeah.
as I mentioned before we started and we pressed record, the nerves I had that you actually were hopping on, the nerves I had. So recently, I think it was maybe yesterday, 2 days ago, I got my first ever media credential to a basketball game.
Nice.
So I was able to go and actually
Yay.
interview people. And
Yeah.
when I say they passed me the mic, I should have did this because the nerves,
Were you nervous?
I was super, super nervous. It worked out. All glory to God. But
Yeah.
the way I felt in my stomach, you
What
would
was
have thought
happening? Was it like what was happening? Were you shaking or was your voice trembling or
my voice started off trembling.
okay.
And just the inside, I could just feel just like a bunch of butterflies,
Yes.
stomach hurt, feel like I gotta go to the bathroom. Like, oh, dude, oh man, this is so. Then they gave me the mic, and I was like, oh shoot, I didn't know if I was gonna actually get the mic. I got the
Yeah.
mic. I was like, oh, okay, it's over. But like you said, I know for next time, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do a little centering on myself because
Yeah.
the nerves was woo.
Breathe. Just always inhale and exhale that thing because they creep up on you. You can't just get rid of them. You know what I'm saying? But you can kind of ease them a bit.
Exactly, for
But good
sure.
for you though.
Thank
Congratulations.
you, thank you. So you mentioned we talking about the singing, and
Mhm.
I've watched a lot of the previous interviews that you've done. It's come up here and there, but I found it interesting. You sung on Coachella with Beyonce, then went on tour with her.
Hmm.
One of considerably, whatever you watch and you listen, I'm not trying to argue with you. Some would say arguably one of the best performers.
Yeah.
What was that experience like, and what were some of the takeaways that you got being around Beyonce and the whole setup and how they had everything for Coachella and just the level of, safe to say, spirit of excellence? Like they did it
Yes. Yes.
at the highest level.
Right. Um. Uh. My main takeaways. I did a lot of observing. I'll say that. So of course it's like, oh my gosh, we're singing with Beyonce, and people can kind of get caught up in the singing with this superstar. But it's important to really observe what's going on around you. There's a reason you're there. There's a reason that you are having this experience. And it's important to just take in everything that you can. So I had a journal for each thing, a journal for
Mm.
Coachella, a journal for a tour, and I would just write down everything that I saw. And one of my major takeaways with Beyonce that I noticed, out of many things, but one thing that kind of sticks with me is that there was a moment where she was giving a note to, I want to say it was either the light people or the camera people for her shots and the lights and the angles and things. She was giving them a note, and she was singing, and the note hadn't been taken. She had already given the note like 2 or 3 times prior to this moment. But she was singing and she was giving the note. She stopped singing, gave the note, the music is still going, and then she picks right back up and continues to sing. She gives another note, and then she picks right back up and continues to sing. And there was such a grace and a professionalism in how she um, instructed people, because it's probably annoying if you've given a note 4 times, you know what I'm saying, 3 or 4 times, and it hasn't been done, and here we are losing time in rehearsal because y'all haven't fixed this and y'all haven't fixed that. And I've said it already. But the grace that she had when she gave that instruction, and she kept working, she kept singing after that. She didn't throw a fit. She didn't, you know what I'm saying, walk off stage. She didn't say, I'm not singing today. Let's just cut rehearsal. None of that. It was like, there was just such a professionalism in how she handled it. And I made note of that. And I just thought that was it was just extremely graceful. And I'm like, mm-hmm, that's how it should be. That's how it should be. My nose is running now. Sorry.
No problem. Yes, that's how it should be. I even talk about that a lot of times with some of my friends on the sports space of how you treat people, how you talk to people is way more important
Yeah,
than
it
the actual
matters.
product that happens, whether it's the singing the concert, whether it's the
Right.
actual game. If you really want people to, as they say, proverbially run through a wall for you,
Right.
I would rather you talk to me as a human.
Yeah.
I would rather you talk to me
Absolutely.
respectfully,
Yeah.
have grace, have patience, especially in a situation like that where most would say she would be justified
Yeah, because it's
to
it's so much, going on. And time is like this. We don't got no more time. And you've given this note time and time again. Now, granted, people can be fired, but it's still with grace. And it was that I took away. It was just the grace that she had, because at the end of the day, it's like being a queen and running a kingdom, right? Like, how would you want these people to be influenced by you? And I think it's a big deal, the way you treat people, the way you talk to people. Not saying that sometimes you may not, be in your
mm,
feelings or have an attitude, or be upset or be stressed. But it was a big deal for me. I was like, that's it was just big of her. It was wonderful to watch.
no, I think that's key and important.
Yeah.
I like to see that more often.
Yeah.
There's people that I per se like their performance, how
Yeah.
they, play their sport, they act. But when I see those stories where it's like, oh yeah, they cursed this person out and they did this, and it was just tough love. They was just being tough. Nah,
Mm-mm, mm-mm. How you treat people matters.
You're still talented at what you do, but I'm
Right.
not as much of a fan or a supporter
Yeah.
because how you treat
The
people.
spirit of, yeah, the spirit of how you move. I can't align with it, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can't walk together. How can two walk together unless
Talking
they
to,
agree?
okay.
So
Come on here.
I'm sorry, I can't walk with you. Can't walk with you going
Absolutely.
forward. So definitely, I think that's huge.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you share that because a lot of people may not know that or perceive that of
Yeah.
somebody of her caliber
Right. Right.
that she handled everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
For you, what is like the auditioning process like for our listeners, our viewers? How does that happen on the singing side and
Mm-hmm.
on the acting side? What is that process like? You know, they show us in the movies, but that might not actually be
How
accurate
it
of
goes.
what it is. Yeah. So
Yeah. Um, on the acting side, auditioning, it's a necessary part of the process, of course, but it can be tough. You get self tapes. It's a lot of tapes going on now because the pandemic. We don't really go in front of people as much anymore.
mm,
Um, so there are a lot of like self taping auditions happening. And so, you find your setup, you find somewhere that you can film, you learn the lines, you film it, you send it in, and you may or may not hear anything. You may hear something, you may not. And a lot of times it's like you don't hear anything. And if you're not careful, it can be really discouraging. Um, it can discourage you if you're not careful and if you don't know that that's the way it goes. Like that's how the process goes.
mm.
Um, and even if you do know, it can still be discouraging. You really have to talk yourself to a place of comfort and peace with what you're doing. Um, Now, as far as singing goes, singing, in my experience, has been more so who you know. So you don't necessarily do a lot of, or at least I haven't done a lot of like vocal auditions like that. Um, like American Idol, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like stuff like that. I've done those. But as far as like touring or singing for a tour, unless they ask for an audition, it's a lot of times who you know. If people know you or know of you or they've seen your stuff on Instagram or whatever, they'll contact you somehow, reach out and say, "Hey, can you send in a clip of you singing?" Or, "Hey, so and so referred you and can you come to
Mm.
rehearsal?" Like that type of thing. That's kind of how auditioning goes.
You mentioned American Idol.
Hmm.
For you, do you regret not taking that opportunity?
No, no, actually. Can you hear this paper rustling?
A little bit, but we're fine.
I'm sorry.
We're
I'm
fine. We're
trying to
fine.
like position it. I'm sorry because my nose is slightly running, y'all. I'm trying to get over a little cold. But no, I don't regret it because I'm not the biggest fan of reality TV to begin with.
Mm,
And even then, when I was doing it, I really didn't want to do reality TV that much. Um, but it was nothing else was happening in my career, so I was like, let me
mm,
just go and audition. Um, but I don't regret it because like any journey, it's like you'll have ups and downs, rises and falls, in the process. So I know people who have won American Idol,
mhm,
um, and it's still a journey. It's just, you do gigs here and there, or it's like everybody, even like Kelly Clarkson now, she's branched off into the talk show thing. It's still work. We still have to
mhm.
find a way to make ends meet. You know what I'm saying? Like if music isn't working or if music isn't, what we want to do anymore, it's all still a journey. So I don't necessarily regret it. Yeah.
I always like to ask that question. Some people have regrets and some things that they wish they would have changed. I
Yeah.
try to have that perspective, like you're saying, it's a part of the journey, and
Yeah.
everything happens for a reason with
Hmm.
God's plan. So
Right.
it wasn't God's intent for me to go on American Idol as of now.
Right.
Maybe
Right.
it happens at another time and this, that, and the third, but
Right.
just
Right
gotta
now, it's not that. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like you said, just having I was just talking to somebody the other day and kind of just being in a space of having peace
Hmm.
with his timing.
Woo! That's a good one.
Because I can speak to, you want to rush in, you think you may deserve it, you've been putting
Right.
in the work,
Right.
you send in all the tapes, and it's like I was telling you before, you send in all the DMs.
Yes.
If you not in a good spiritual headspace, a
Yep.
good mental space,
Yep.
something that you've been called to actually do,
Hmm.
you might then try to divert from the plan because you don't see it happening.
Yes. The
And
way you think it should go, or when you think it should happen. It's something about being okay with God's timing that people don't teach. They don't show the process of surrendering to God. They don't show that. They show, all of a sudden somebody is just famous, and like, all of a sudden somebody's podcast just took off and things like that. They don't show the process of really letting God be God, and trusting in God. They don't show that. And so people get caught up in this fast-paced idea of success, and then it derails them. Like it deters them, it discourages them, and sometimes it destroys people, because this idea that they have of success and of life is not really reality, and nobody is telling them God is for you. God has created you. God has purposed you for a specific thing. Be okay with what that looks like from God's eyes, not your eyes, not the society's eyes, from God's eyes. Yeah. We
that's
need more of
that's
that.
yes, that's huge, because we then can define what success may be based off of the world standards, what
Yep.
they say,
Yep.
based off of their timing.
Yep.
We see it all throughout the Bible,
Yep.
different stories of Abraham and Sarah. Oh,
Sarah was like, Father, stop playing.
she told Abraham, "Hey, so it's the young shorty over there. She must be the promise. That's that's
Right.
how
Right.
that's how it's gonna come."
Right.
It's
Mm.
such a thing that we kind of overlook,
Hmm.
especially, I can't speak to nowhere else because I haven't really lived nowhere else, but especially in America, of
Yes.
it's, hey, just say a prayer here and there, and then next month it'll
Here
just,
you are.
here it is. And when it doesn't happen, which I've been there,
Me too.
now I'm mad at God. You said you was going to do this.
Because it's like, what happened to this timeline? Like, what you said that this is what was going on. What happened? But that right there is exactly what needs to be cleared out, because there's something there that's like, okay, I was holding on to this time versus holding on to the promise and letting your time happen. You know, it's we get lost. Sorry, that's the ice maker if you can hear it, but we get lost in our things so often that we miss God sometimes. And I think we need more people teaching um, how to walk with God and how to trust God, and allowing that to be the root of our success. You know what I'm saying? Like allowing that to be what um, pretty much develops and blossoms and grows our success, not us thinking that success is supposed to just happen and things like that. No, walk with God and let God place you where He wants you to be, Yeah.
trusting his time, and then really believing and embracing that he is a good father, which
Yes. That's another thing.
is,
Uh-oh. You about to start preaching on here, and I'm gonna run. That's another
yeah,
thing.
I've been
Believe
there.
in a
This
good
is me
God,
just
a good father.
my thing that I've been through, going through for the last couple years, of
Yeah.
you have to literally believe and trust he's a good father. If he say he going to do it, do you believe him? And at
Right.
some point, it's kind of like, I've seen it throughout the Bible with different stories and Job and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, all right, look, y'all get on my nerves. I'm God. I've done shown you time and time and time and time and time and time again. And now this one time, because I didn't do it in 2 weeks, you over here.
You hype, you mad, you
What? Do you
yeah.
not know who I am?
Who I am?
I'm
That's the
not I'm not
thing.
like men. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, what
I'm
are
not
you
your
on?
uncle. Like that's this. There's this guy named Prophet Lovi. He's a preacher, but he always says God is not your uncle because we love putting these human standards on God, and it's just like God is not bound by our standards. He's not bound, by our type of existence. He's just not bound by those things. And it's like I am God. If I said it, and I said that my word doesn't return to me void, then guess what? You can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to fulfill what I said. So he's a good father. And a lot of us sometimes, if we don't have good experiences with people or with humans or with fathers, we can sometimes we can project that same uh, hurt, you know what I'm saying, that we've gotten from humans on God. Like, God
Oh
won't be there
yeah.
for me because nobody else was there for me. You know what I'm saying?
I was projecting on God quite a bit. I was projecting on
For
God. So
real.
most definitely for sure. But we in a better
I'm gonna,
place now.
we'll praise God.
How do you perfect and like perfect your craft of acting?
Studying, watching people. A lot of times it's watching people that I enjoy. Um, Watching them and then kind of doing, kind of like practicing what they do, right? That's kind of like a quick, easy way to doing it. But you have to also know technique as well. So if you can get your hands on some type of a book, I want to say Stella Adler. Um, there's a book that I've read called, of course, I'm blanking on the name, but Eisner. It teaches Eisner
Mhm.
technique. Meisner. I'm sorry, not Eisner. Meisner technique. And that's my favorite style of acting. My favorite technique of acting. But those two people are really good if anybody wants to get into technique and learning technique and things of that nature. Um, and then watching people and doing what they do.
Yeah. So for you watching, you listening, if you want to get into that,
Yeah,
we'll drop the books and all of that down below in the description.
yeah,
So you get into it. I might check it out myself.
yeah.
I like movies and I like TV. I don't know if I'm supposed to be acting or not, but I
I
love
can
it.
see you on something.
Oh wow.
I can see you on
Maybe thanks. Appreciate that.
something.
Maybe one day God will drop me down to something. We'll
Yeah,
see what happens.
yeah.
Speaking of with the acting right now, you currently are doing your own series on YouTube.
Yes.
Can you speak to that?
Well, yes. So I enjoy things like 90s TV and things like that. And if I'm being honest with you, all the stuff that I've done so far has been very much like drama and like
Mhm.
so and so shot so and so and they, baby mamas and all of this type of stuff. And I don't watch TV, but if I were to watch TV, I would watch things like 90s shows like Fresh Prince, Martin, Sister Sister, Moesha, like stuff like that.
Classics.
Classics. And I really want to do something like that. If a show comes out and I'm able to get in it where it's like lighthearted and it's funny, but there's also like the serious things and we touch on real life situations and it's just good for the heart and for the spirit and for I want that. That's really what I want to do. So I was like, I'm gonna just start playing in this house and putting things together like what I like to see. And that's kind of where the series started. And I have like 3 more episodes that I'm gonna put out, and then I'll be okay with that idea. I just need to have it out because I had the idea. I just need to, release it.
For those that want to watch, for those that want to go support, what
Yeah.
is the title of it?
It's called Life in the Key of Key. So my name is Kiandra. People call me Kiki, and a lot of people call me Key. And so I just did Life in the Key of Key, Key of Ki.
Definitely check that out.
Yeah.
It's it's really good. I've seen it. I've already subscribed. It's
Thank you.
really dope too. It's given also kind of like Martin era in regards to him playing multiple roles. Because
Yes.
you really
Because it's like, who else is gonna? It's really just me being goofy, and it's a lot of fun. though. It actually is really a lot of fun, and I would love to be able to actually do it for real, at some point. So
well on this show. Anytime I have a guest and they mention things of that nature, I like to speak it into existence.
yes,
We're gonna speak that into existence that it's gonna
yes,
come at some point,
it's gonna
even
come.
if it's not on somebody else's. Somebody might pick up your show
Yep, yep.
one way or the other. God's time and God's will, it'll work out
Thank you. I received that.
for you, right? You mentioned earlier kind of some of the roles that you've played, some of the things that you've been in.
Hmm.
What was your hardest slash easiest role between Yana, CJ, and April Bradley?
Okay, so my hardest, the hardest I would say it's probably CJ on Kingdom Business. It's crazy because I felt more comfortable playing CJ because it was my second go around with TV.
Mhm.
My first go around was Empire, and I was extremely nervous because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing out here. These people have been doing this for years, and I'm like new. But it was easy to play Yana because I related with her in so many different ways. Like this young artist, she sings and she loves people and she's just a really lover, like a lover girl. So I related with her a lot. CJ on Kingdom Business is more so like she's got like anxiety things going on and she's really timid, shy in her mama's shadow, but she's good at what she does. And yeah, I had to like really, and she had like miscarriages and things like
Mhm.
that. So a lot of like adult things that I was having to kind of portray. And I just had to do some more digging and studying with CJ. Um, and bringing that character to life. She's married and issues with the marriage and stuff like that. It's just kind of, I'm not married yet, so I don't necessarily have those experiences to pull on. So I had to just do a little bit more studying and digging for CJ. So I would say that's probably the tougher one. The easier one, Yana.
So, just a question. I didn't. This wasn't on the list, but I've wondered and always was interested. Do you, as the actor, ever get tired of talking about certain roles? Like, I was going through the YouTube, going down a rabbit hole,
Yeah.
and dag near every interview. How was it to work with Terrence Howard? How
Yes.
was it to work with Terrence Howard? Does that get tiring as an actor? Either, having the same questions about a certain role, or even people like penciling you in
Yeah.
as, oh, that's Yana. No, I'm 4 seasons on something else.
Okay. Something else. Right. No, it doesn't. Not at this stage in my career. I'm very new, in all of this. So it doesn't get annoying. I'm always interested in, telling the story of my journey. So it doesn't really bother me that much. It's funny because I saw a video. NPR posted a video of the Tyler the Creator Tiny Desk,
Mhm.
and it's like at, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 million views now on TikTok. And somebody was like, "Yo, they reposted this, and it's at 1 million views." And I'm like, "Oh wow, let me go look." And so I looked at it, and people in the comments were just like, "Ain't that the girl?" They're like, They're like, ain't that girl from Empire? And somebody else was like, I promise you, I was just thinking that. And somebody else was like, yeah, she did this and she sang for Beyonce. And somebody was like, I think that's the girl from. So it's actually kind of it's kind of fun seeing seeing people just from different places, know who I am. It's fun.
For those that's watching, yes, background, Tyler Creator, yes, like
Yes.
it's a lot on her resume. We couldn't go through everything. Y'all know that y'all don't have the most long attention span, so we couldn't have a 2-hour episode. But yes,
That's
she just
funny.
dropped she just dropped that in there. Yes, that was
Sorry.
the case for sure. Yeah, I just wanted to ask that because I see some actors talk about it and some have a different response of it gets tiring. Some
Hmm. Hmm.
embrace it of saying, I did such a good job.
Yeah.
You, like, I was watching Amari Hardwood. I did such a good job as Ghost. You see me and think that I'm him.
That I'm him. Right.
I I embodied it that well where you see me now on the streets of
And you're
anywhere.
like,
Hey,
ghost.
Ghost,
It's
yo.
great. That's the part that baffles me sometimes because people will say like, "Oh my gosh, my character Yana on Empire died. Her father killed her." And people are like, "Oh my gosh, I was so sad when you died. I was so upset." And I'm like, "Surely you do know you're talking to an alive person, yes?" Okay. I just wanted to make sure we was on the same page because I'm very much still here. Amen. So people definitely they call me Yana all the time. All the
You mentioned the aspect of dying. I know Queen Latifah has it in her contracts. This is what is rumored. I ain't seen Queen Latifah's contracts, but
time.
they say that she says any role that she takes going forward after doing that iconic movie that she's not
Oh.
going to die anymore in any role that
Mm,
she takes.
hmm.
Would you feel comfortable taking a role where you're dying going forward?
Um, I haven't had any experiences like or anything that's made me feel like, okay, I don't want to do that.
Hmm.
I don't know if at some point there will be an experience where I'm like, I don't think that's how I want, my roles to go anymore because she could have hurt the way that she died in what's the name of that? Somebody knows it.
I'm looking it up now because I drew a complete blank as well.
Because now I'm blanking. Um, wow, I'm thinking of everything but the movie.
Literally, I'm thinking of the Equalizer. I'm thinking of Star.
I'm like boys in the hood. It's just not that. But the way she died in that film was just it was a lot.
Set
It's
it off.
heavy. Set it off. Set it off. The way she died in there was heavy. Very heavy. So I don't know if that took any type of a I don't know. I wonder why that's, what she put in her contract, but I haven't had anything, happen like that where I'm like, I don't want this, I don't want to do this or I don't want to do that.
I think they said
Yeah.
it was he was alluding to when that happens, that takes away from her being in possibly a sequel
Another
if they do
smart,
a sequel.
smart. Now that makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
that
I
makes
haven't thought
perfect
about it,
sense.
but I will from now on. Thank you for that.
A couple more questions before we end off with what we call the fourth quarter segment, which is kind of more of a fun segment, rapid fire type of situation.
Okay.
Denzel has spoke about like there's roles that he came into it saying, I'm not going to do this certain type of thing. And as an actor, you have to have that mentality coming into it, like I won't do X, Y, Z.
Hmm.
For you, do you have certain roles or certain uh scripts or anything that you say that's not what I'm going to do? I'm not going to be involved with anything regarding XYZ.
Yes. Yes. Very early on, I was like, I don't want to do nudity. I don't want to do anything that's unnecessary and that's not feeding the story. I don't, being naked just for naked's sake, I don't want to do that. Um, Things that are too, and I'm saying this now, I haven't gotten I haven't been in a situation where I'm having to really figure out, okay, is this what I want to do or is this not what I want to do? But certain things I'll turn down, like things that are just vulgar for vulgar's sake, I won't do. Like things that are overly sexual just to be sexual, I don't want to do those things because I think of the people that are watching, and what message am I sending out? What am I trying to get across to the people? At the end of the day, I'm the one that has to live with these things being out in the public, for the rest of my life. And if I have children and they have to go and see those things. And so I want to make sure whatever I am putting out, I'm proud of, and I'm saying something, not just being vulgar just cause, or you know what I'm saying?
No, that
Um,
makes
yeah.
perfect sense.
So I do say no to certain things.
No, that makes perfect sense because I even heard Charlemagne ask Lala when she was on Power, like, how did
Mhm.
that affect her son? Like, did it have any impact on her son, being that she was doing nude scenes and things of that
Oh,
nature? So
okay.
it's like, I've always thought about that, and I've had conversations with my wife. I'm like, if I ever get into acting, nah, I ain't gonna be doing this. The sex scene, I ain't gonna be doing this. My son gotta watch it, or something happened, and then they making fun of him at school. Cause
It's kind of
certain,
certain things that you kind of got to think about. And what's crazy is with Empire, because there was still things that were alluding to, sexual activity in Empire. And I was so embarrassed. Like we were watching the episodes and my clothes were still on, but Terrence and I had a kissing scene and he like picks me up and things like that. So it's suggesting that we definitely are about to be intimate. And that episode came up, and I remember I went and ran into the pantry because my family, everybody's watching. And I went into the pantry because I couldn't take it. I was like, this is embarrassing. I have siblings they were young at the time. But I have siblings that are younger than me and they look up to me. And I don't want to just be like, this is what you do, like this is how life goes. So I'm just mindful about those types of things. And shout out to Terrence Howard because he was the one who said, nah, we don't have to, we don't have to take clothes off. We don't have to do this and do that. We can pull it off and still be what's the word I'm looking for? Like presentable. Like it don't have to be a whole bunch of raunchy stuff. You know what I'm saying? To get the point across. And so he was very vocal in that and stood up for me in those senses because I was so new and I couldn't say like, hey, actually let's not do that. I was more so like, what am I about to do? And he stuck up for me. So
that's
shout
funny
out
you said
to
that
you.
because that's what Lala alluded to. She was like, "This is one of my first roles," so I couldn't be saying, "Oh,
You
I'm not
can't just
going to
be
do
like,
this."
actually, no. Yeah. You don't have
Yeah,
that much. I am going backwards. You don't have that much leverage.
yeah, leverage. That's the key word. Most definitely, because when it comes to that, it's the big picture in mind and things that, like you said, family members and
Yeah.
how are you going to feel about it afterwards. Shout out to Terrence Howard for
Yeah.
stepping up because that often sometimes isn't the case from what
Yeah.
I've heard in other interviews.
Yeah.
And then also it's like I'm the same way when it comes to what I watch. Cause after a point, I'm like, it don't even need to
Don't need
be
all of that.
having this. I'd rather give me a good script, some suspense
Right.
in it. I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm good.
Yeah.
We don't need to see me personally. I don't need to see certain things. And like for me
Yeah.
personally, I got convicted by God. Like, yo, you can't keep watching Power. I'm like,
And see, here's the thing. Because after a while, we'll start to realize that things are more spiritual than we think. Right? Like it may not be the intention of the people behind the project or whatever, maybe not, I don't know, but things are spiritual and we have to be mindful of our eye gates, our ear gates, what we're listening to, what we're watching, because at the end of the day these things kind of start to exist in our space. They start to exist in our atmosphere, and before you know it, here you are cussing somebody out because every week
you
you're
watching.
listening to somebody, yeah, and you're watching somebody do it, or like reality TV sometimes when all you see is people like, fighting, and there's always some type of drama going on. After a while, your relationships, your friendships, and the things going on around you start to look like what you're watching because you're kind of creating that, because you're absorbing that. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be careful with those types of things.
100%. Because go
Yeah.
ahead and act like you on Jersey Shore if you want.
Right.
You gonna be in jail. That's not reality.
That's
Like,
not reality.
don't do
It's
that.
not reality. Don't do it.
Reality TV isn't reality. Social media isn't reality.
Isn't reality, right?
That's
Yeah.
really what it is. Last one before we transition. What
Okay.
is the best piece of advice that you've received? Now, for those that's listening or watching, she's dropped a lot of gems already. A lot of little gems of wisdom and knowledge, acting, singing, just life in general.
Yeah.
But best piece of advice you've received.
The best piece that I've received. Um, Terrence Howard told me once that acting, people think it's like, you act something out and then, you go away and all is fine. Like you can just leave the character there, call it a day. But these characters use our bodies and they use our emotions, right? So we use these things to portray the characters. And it kind of takes a little piece of you each time. I remember we were shooting. I had a scene with Terrence one day, and he had some other scenes before our scene together. And he had to do a lot of he had to be really angry. He had to kill somebody and fight somebody. And by the time he got to our scene, when it was time to shoot, he had to kind of come, not like he was hype or anything, but his energy was just in that space of being riled up. And he had to kind of, bring himself now into a real pleasant space. And he was like, these things kind of they take a piece of you, they age you. And because the body doesn't know that you're playing,
Mm-hmm.
the body thinks that you're upset now because you're telling it, okay, I'm angry because I have to be angry in this scene. And your body is doing what it would do if it were angry. You know what I'm saying? So these things age you, and these things they sometimes can take a toll on you. So know why you're doing these things. Know why you're doing it. Know why you're acting. Know why you're singing. Know why you want to be successful. Know why you're interviewing people. You know what I'm saying? Have an understanding of why you're doing this. And a lot of times the way to get the why is to seek God on it. Like, okay, you gave me this gift to sing and act and stuff like that. I know what I could go and do with it from what I've seen in the world, but what is it that you want me to do with this? And that a lot of times can give you the why as to why you're doing what you're doing.
Well, there goes the title of the episode right there. Know why you're doing it. I had a couple ideas based off of what you've been saying, but once you said that right there and you broke it down, I typed it down in the notes. That's the title of the episode right there.
Yay.
Fourth quarter segment. So, I am a foodie.
Mm,
It may not look like it, but I eat for four.
I love
Every
that.
guest, every guest I have on, I have to ask a food related question.
Okay.
I've seen you posted a couple videos and stuff, good eats, healthy. And for you, you did live in LA, you
Yes.
back on the East Coast. Where are your favorite places to eat? LA, favorite places to eat when you in Georgia?
Okay. So I do like to eat healthy, but I also like soul food, right? So, um, okay, LA, my favorite place to eat is a place called Crossroads. It's a all plant-based place, but it's they have calamari and just all these different dishes is really great that reminds you of, regular
Mhm.
restaurants. But it's all plant-based. In Atlanta, ooh, that's tough. because I try to get soul food in, but also being plant based. So I'll typically go to a place called Life Bistro. They have lots of soul food, um, but it's good though, and it's healthy. It's healthier. Okay,
Mhm.
because people think like being vegan or being plant based is always like being vegan is always healthy, and it's not always healthy. But Life Bistro is the place that I would go, and then what's the other place? Life Bistro. I'll say Life Bistro.
Okay, so it's funny you mentioned that because we try to mix in at least once or twice a week plant-based meals.
Yes.
It's kind of hard to go fully plant-based with two under two, but we try to mix it in as often as possible. And I watch a lot of cooking shows, and they say it's a lot of plant-based, really dope places out
Yes.
in LA. Funny
Definitely
enough,
LA.
funny enough, I'm going to be in Atlanta this weekend, so I might go check out Life Bistro.
Go to Life Bistro. You need to go to this place called Cecili's.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to send you a list of where you need to go. If you're
Okay,
gonna be there, you need to try these places out for sure.
perfect. I love coming to Atlanta all the time
Yeah.
just for the food, the eats.
Yeah.
Every single time, like I've told my wife, like if we could somehow finesse moving down there, I would move down there. And I think it's now 7 years straight that each year I go to Atlanta. I make a reason to go to
To
Atlanta
go.
every year. So
Yeah, Atlanta's dope.
definitely,
Atlanta is
definitely for
dope.
sure.
Be
Who's in your
careful because
musical?
I was gonna say the biscuits will get you, but keep going.
Who's in your musical rotation?
Um who's in my musical rotation right now? I love Lucky Day. Love Lucky Day. Um CC Winans. And Lucky Day, CC Winans. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mhm.
Okay? I don't listen to a whole bunch of stuff right now. And I know that's crazy because I'm a singer and it's like you should be listening to music. For whatever reason, recently I haven't been listening to a lot of new music or a lot of music. Um, but I have been listening to a lot of like worship stuff and a lot of
Mhm.
worship type prayer type stuff. So that's why I say CC Winans. But as far as like R&B goes, Lucky Day for sure.
Love me some Lucky Day. CC Winans. She been back on a tear.
Hey,
CC been in it for a minute. And then she said, I'm gonna pop back out. That's my king.
pop
I'm a
back
she
out and
been
show y'all. She
she
not
been
playing.
on a tear lately, been on a nice little run the last couple
Yeah.
of years with some hits
Yes,
she's been putting out. CC let
she
y'all know
has.
I still got it. Still,
Okay.
I still got it for sure.
And God will let you know He is still with her. She is still walking with the Lord because
Uh,
they come out and it's something about her music. I don't know. It'll get you.
a thousand, a 1000%.
Yes. Yes.
Completely sidebar because you are a singer, right? I find it interesting the approach that sometimes singers go through. You, for you, I don't know if you have any plans this year to put out your own personal music or the following year, but
Mm.
when it does come to you recording or singing, what is the type of sound that you actually want to portray? Are you more R&B? Do you like a pop, a mixture? What is the sound that you actually want to portray?
I enjoy a mixture of R&B and pop. Pop more so in an alternative pop sense, I guess.
Okay.
I really love guitars, acoustic guitars, electric guitars. I love singing with guitars. Um, and so I don't know if that's considered alternative or I don't know what that's considered, but that mixed with R&B would be the route that I go. Yeah.
I can dig it. That's my type of I can't speak to whether it's alternative. That's not my bag. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say, but you're the professional and the aficionado on the show. So we're going to say, yes, that's alternative. With
Yes.
mixing the guitar to alternative. There you go, right
Alternative.
there.
And that's what
Alternative.
I'm R&B alternative. That's me.
You mentioned Terrence Howard, of course. Outside of Terrence Howard, Who have been some actors that have influenced, impacted your career?
Angela Bassett, Letitia Wright, and Angela Bassett, Letitia Wright. I'm trying to think of who else I really admire. Um, of course, we all know Denzel Washington is one of those greats for me, at least. Um, so that's a good solid three, I would say. Letitia, Angela Bassett, and I would say Denzel Washington. I really enjoy watching Will Smith as well. Um, who else? I feel like I'm blanking because I'm like, there are people that I really enjoy um, watching them work. But yeah, I'll say Angela, Letitia, and Denzel.
That's a legend list right there.
Yeah.
Letitia, I love what she did in her career. For those that don't know, y'all go check out the YouTube and go do the research.
Oh yeah, yeah. She
Love
plays
what she,
is it Zuri
yes.
in Black Panther. Yes.
I love what she decided to do in her career. Denzel, of course, Angela Bassett,
Yeah.
similar to CC Winans.
Yeah.
Hey, I can still do it at any given
Any
time. And
anytime, any age.
and I
Try
love
me.
the versatility. I like
Yeah.
actors that have versatility that can do different roles. And I've
Right.
seen actors talk about not getting pigeonholed into said role,
Certain.
like, oh,
Right. Right.
you're a thug. I want to stay in that
Right.
role. You're in love and rom-coms.
Yeah.
I like when they can show
Ingenue
their
Ingenue Ellis too. So sorry. So sorry. I did not mean to cut you off just then, but that
no, no,
popped up.
no.
Ingenue Ellis is another one.
Yes, that's another great name. But yeah, I like to see the range. I like to
Yeah.
see that you have that ability to, like you mentioned with Terrence, serious. You could do something comedic. You could.
Right.
Those to me are the best actors that you can go in
Yeah.
different pockets and pull it out. Oh, I'm gonna be in the
Right.
Equalizer today. Then I'm gonna go be in Fences.
Right. Right.
Okay, Denzel.
And theater really helps that.
Yeah,
When you know how to do theater, it really helps to ground you as an actor, as an artist.
yeah. He said that to somebody. He was on the red carpet and
Mhm.
somebody asked him like, "How do I get started?" He said, "Go do theater for a year. Come back to me and we'll talk."
Yeah, it's a real thing. It'll really prep you.
Definitely something for if you watching. Another gem right there. Try to get into some theater.
Some theater.
Dream musical artist that you would like to work with.
Oh, living? Let's say living. Living. I who would I like to work with living? Because of course I would have loved to sing with. You know what? Diana Ross is one.
Mm.
Diana Ross. Yeah. There's so much wisdom there. I need that. I just need to soak that up. So I would love to work with Diana Ross. How? I don't know, but it would be nice to work with her.
I knew you was headed with that because I was the same mindset. And like one of the people that I'd love to interview would have been like Kobe.
Yeah.
That would have been one of the, like
Oh
you
my
said, to
gosh.
soak up the wisdom and
Yes.
the transition from both careers. All right, this ends and the smooth transition into this is what I'm doing now. And
Right, right, right.
being a girl dad, coaching, like
Yes.
that space, I would have loved to have that conversation. Yes, you were
Yeah.
great basketball. That's cool. But the thing that
Yeah.
really to me mattered more is that aspect because then that goes back to your real, not that basketball isn't real, but your real life because basketball is
Yeah.
not forever.
Nah.
It's just not
Neither
forever.
is music. Like none of this stuff is forever, you know? It's like how do you balance all of these things? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly that.
Yeah.
For you, star bench cut, Martin, Fresh Prince, Jamie Foxx show.
Start bench cut?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Okay. Who would start? Who would be on the bench and who would I cut? You said Fresh Prince Martin and who else?
Jamie Foxx show.
Wow. Okay. So sorry. I would have I would have to cut the Fresh Prince show. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'd have to cut the Fresh Prince show, and I would have to mm, I'd have to bench I'd have to bench probably the Jamie Foxx show. And then I would let Martin start.
Hey, he on the bench, so he's still in rotation. So
You know what I'm saying? Those two have to be there. I don't know what it is, but I think the musical part of Jamie Foxx, I need that. So yeah, both of those I would need.
versatile. People don't talk about enough what Jamie was doing on the Jamie
Listen,
Foxx show.
Jamie is not to be played with.
One of the most versatile entertainers
Yeah, he's so
that we've
talented.
had.
So
Very,
talented.
very talented. Last one before we get you out of here, and we again appreciate you hopping on with us.
It's a pleasure.
Dream actor that you like to work with, and dream director that you'd like to work with.
Hmm. Okay. Um, I probably I would thoroughly enjoy acting with Felicia Rashad. I don't know if it's Felicia or Felicia, but Miss Rashad. It's the wisdom. I want to go where I can soak in life wisdom, you know. I would want to act with her. And if I'm being honest, I really would love to see. I don't know if I would want to do it in a director, but actually, I would. I would like to see what it is like watching Tyler Perry direct something like a 666 or is it 666?
I believe so. I believe so.
Like that type of a film, or what was the other one? Jasmine's Blues. Like I would like to see. I would like to watch him, observe him direct something like that, because I kind of just want to. I've heard things from colleagues and different actors and things like that, but I want to see it for myself. That's really what it is. I want to see it for myself. I kind of want to see how his brain works, honestly. Like, what is that? What goes on up there?
That is definitely one of the people that I would love to
Yeah.
sit and be a fly on the wall. I
Yeah.
don't want to ask nothing. If you decide you want to give me the opportunity to ask something, cool.
Yeah.
But watching, I think it was the documentary he had. I think it was
Mhm.
titled with his mom's name,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
hearing some of his work ethic.
Mhm.
Where I'm like, yo. I looked at my
It's,
wife like, I don't know if I'm working hard enough.
it's
I
something
think I'm
else.
working hard.
That's a different
I think I'm
thing.
doing something, but you did what? You had 3 shows written in a weekend?
It's
Hey,
crazy.
and
That's
my
why I'm like, I need to. I just want to witness it for myself, not from what I've heard. You know what I'm saying?
exactly to be able
Because
to see
something is there. Here's the thing. Sorry to keep cutting you off.
you
Ideas
good.
just be coming up. But here's the thing. God gave him a very special something, right? And so I want to know what that is. Like at the root of it, clearly the root of it is God. And I just want to know what that is. Like what are those layers in the mind when you direct, and more so when you direct and things like that. Writing and stuff is cool, producing is cool too, but when you direct, what is it that you're seeing? What are you seeing? You know what I'm saying? And then how are you getting that across? Yeah.
That's something that's in different facets of everybody being professionals and great at their craft,
Yeah.
of seeing like God placed something in said person,
Yeah.
and this said person don't nobody else do it like them.
Right. Right.
How does that
How does
how
that
did you get
happen?
to that point?
Yeah. What is
What is
that?
that process like?
Right.
What's your routine? Some have a routine, some just on a whim, like, all right, I can
Yeah.
just see it and immediately it comes to fruition.
Yeah. Like what is that? I just want
That
to
would be
know. Even if it's just to know and just to experience that. I'm always curious when it comes to things like that. it's exciting to watch God be God in all of these different ways.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
That's part of why like I enjoy doing what I do with this,
Yeah.
of being curious of people's stories and how do you
Hmm.
operate? How do you get to where you go? How do you do what you do?
Yeah.
Everybody has a everybody has a story.
Right. Right.
Biggest name, smallest name,
All of them.
everybody has a
Absolutely.
story. For those that's watching, it's your first time ever seeing an episode, listening. That is how the title came about of the podcast, Bench Mob.
Mhm.
Just because you're on the bench, sometimes proverbial bench, whether it's in life or sports, people may view that they don't have value, that they don't have anything
Absolutely.
worthwhile. This is why it came with that story. Because hey, I'm not on ESPN as of yet,
Right.
but it doesn't mean I'm not on Bleach Report or Fox News, anything
Right.
of that
Right.
nature. But it doesn't mean that me, my co-host, we don't have value or story to tell.
Absolutely.
This is why I will reach out. For those of you watching this, I sent you a DM. Somebody here that's watching this, I sent you a DM.
Yeah.
Whether you a D3 athlete, D1 athlete, whether you've been in 6 movies, whether you dropped 2 albums,
Right.
I'm reaching out to any and everybody because everybody has a story, and somebody's story is going to bless
Somebody
somebody.
else.
Somebody could
Absolutely.
relate to. I might not be able to relate to LeBron. No, I didn't have the opportunity to make millions of dollars at 16. I didn't have that opportunity,
Yeah.
so I can't relate to that aspect.
Me neither. I was supposed
But
to be
somebody
famous at
watching this,
16. It didn't happen.
somebody watching this has something in there in this episode that they can relate to
Yeah.
what your story is,
Yeah.
how you going about things. So that's why we do it. That's why this was created. That's what the vision that God put in my heart of
Absolutely.
starting this podcast. We again are extremely grateful and thankful
Oh my
for this
goodness.
opportunity to have you on.
Absolutely. And I'm congratulations to you and kudos to you for the courage to take the idea and to do something with it, to run with it. You were saying like the people that you reach out to, so forth, so on. People would have given up a long time ago. But good for you to take the idea and to make it a thing. Because consistency, a diligent hand maketh rich. So your diligence is gonna do it for you for sure.
All glory to God.
All glory to
I'm
God.
looking forward to him doing what he do.
Yeah.
Keep making moves. And I just told somebody today, I'm enjoying the ride. Is
There you
2025
go.
just started? I'm enjoying the ride so far. What we've been
Yeah.
doing, what
Yeah.
God's been doing. But y'all know the vibes here at the Bench Mob. If you stay ready, you don't gotta get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.